This is why people pleasing is costing you your purpose. I'm going to have a Bible comparison today where we're going to dive deep into a powerful and convincing verse, which is Galatians 1:10, which asks the question, are you living for people's approval or are you living for God's purpose? I know in a previous video I talked about this a little bit, but I wanted to compare it to life today and apply it to situations where people can be able to understand how being a people pleaser translates into the biblical word. In a world obsessed with likes, followers, and applause, it's easy to lose yourself trying to please everyone around you. But what if that's the very thing keeping you from walking in your true identity and calling? You hear that? Let's talk about what it really means to break free from people pleasing and live boldly for Christ. Galatians 1:10 resonates powerfully in today's world, where the pressure to gain approval and validation from others has intensified so much, especially with the rise of social media, societal expectations, and performance culture. There's so much going on out there, y'all. Paul's words challenge us to evaluate whether we are living for human applause or staying true to God's calling. And this message directly speaks to several modern struggles that so many of us face today. We're going to get through a list. The first one is social media and the approval culture. In today's digital age, people often measure their worth through likes, comments, and followers. We get caught up in wanting a whole bunch of followers and subscribers and likes, and we want people to comment only the positive things, of course, but you get negative comments as well. Platforms designed to connect have become stages where people perform for validation, curating perfect versions of their lives to gain approval. You only seeing what they want you to see. They making it all up and showing it to you, and you don't even know what's real. The desire to be liked or seen has led many to lose their authenticity in exchange for fleeting recognition. The biblical connection to this. Paul warns against living for the approval of others because it enslaves us to a life of performance. Social media, much like the ancient pursuit of human praise, distracts people from their true purpose. Jesus himself said, "Woe to you when everyone speaks well of you." That's in Luke 6:26, which emphasizes that living for human praise often comes at the cost of spiritual truth. Another thing is workplace and career pressures. A lot of people are faced with this. In careers, many fall into the trap of overworking, overachieving, and sacrificing personal values just to gain recognition or advancement. Employees often mute their voices, compromise their beliefs, or bend their ethics to maintain favor with employers or co-workers or clients. Biblical connection to this is whatever you do, you work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters. True success comes from aligning our work with God's purpose, not from compromising to meet human expectations. Another point is relationships built on performance. Many relationships today, whether friendships, romantic relationships, or family dynamics, are built on conditional acceptance, unfortunately. People often feel the need to change suppress parts of themselves, or perform to be loved or accepted. This leaves them emotionally exhausted and disconnected from their true selves. The biblical connection for this is Galatians 1:10, how it exposes this pattern by reminding us that true servanthood to Christ requires authenticity. Relationships that require us to compromise who we are not rooted in godly love. First Thessalonians 2:4 reinforces this. We are not trying to please people, but God, who tests our hearts. Other people ain't important when it comes to pleasing them. Conforming to cultural expectations. Modern culture often pushes conformity to its standards, whether it's how we dress, how we believe, what we believe, or how we live. People fear standing out or being labeled, so they adjust their values to fit in. Council culture, societal pressures, and groupthink make it easier to follow the crowd than to stand firm in faith. The biblical connection, Romans 12:2, echoes this struggle. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Living for God often means standing against cultural norms, and Galatians 10 reminds us that seeking human approval comes at the cost of spiritual truth. Fear of rejection and loneliness. The fear of rejection keeps so many people trapped in a cycle of people pleasing and performing, believing that if they let go of others' expectations, they will be alone or unloved. This fear creates emotional and spiritual bonding, leading individuals to sacrifice their own needs and boundaries for the comfort of belonging. The biblical connection, Proverbs 29:25, warns, fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. Trusting in God's love releases us from the fear of rejection and gives us the courage to live authentically, compromising faith to fit in. In a world increasingly hostile to biblical truth, many Christians are tempted to dilute their faith, remain silent, or blend in to avoid ridicule or rejection. Fear of standing firm in convictions often leads to a spiritual compromise. The biblical connection? Jesus warned in Matthew 10:33, whoever disowns me before others, I will disown before my Father in heaven. Living to please people often results in denying the truth of the gospel, which leads to a fractured relationship with God. Mental and emotional exhaustion. Living for others' approval is emotionally and mentally draining. It is undeniably. It creates constant anxiety, fear of failure, and lack of peace. Many who strive for external validation experience burnout, depression, and a deep sense of emptiness. The biblical connection, Isaiah 26:3, promises, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. True peace comes from trusting in God, not from striving to meet others' expectations. The call to authenticity and purpose. Galatians 1:10 calls us back to authenticity and purpose. It challenges us to stop living for applause and start living for alignment with God's will. The world may offer fleeting validation, but only God provides eternal fulfillment. The biblical connection, Ephesians 2:10, reminds us, for we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. When we live for God, we walk in our true calling. The question that you should ask today and every day is, are you living for human applause or for God's approval? In a world where performance, perfection, and public praise dominate, we have to make sure that we remind ourselves to live in God's approval, not the purpose for other people. This message, I'm sure, hits home to a lot of people, and it should be a reminder that you were not created to perform. You were created with purpose. So stop shrinking to fit into places God never called you to, and start standing in the freedom that comes from living for His approval alone. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more faith-filled content. And drop a comment below. What area of your life is God calling you to stop people-pleasing and start trusting in Him? Until next time, stay grounded in truth and bold in your walk. You got this.